Hello, everyone. Hello. We're going to wait like 1 or 2 minutes to get everyone on here. I'm very, very excited to have you all here. That just came up on my screen. I have brought a lot of amazing people to join me to celebrate the end of this season. And they're all here, and they didn't leave yet, and which is really exciting for me. We are just going to wait till like 6:09 and 30 seconds. So in like 40 seconds, we will start to let everyone in. How did you get all these people? That's a good question. I asked really, really politely. I see someone in the green room saying I paid them. I did not. I'll pay them in snuggles. Whoa. Well, hello, everyone. We're going to get started, I guess. Here we are. What is up? Shalom, my friends. Welcome. I am so excited to have here 30. Oh, it's 12. One person. So there's like 3 other people here that got their COVID test. Raise your hand if you got your COVID test yesterday, their second shot. Daniel. Just Daniel. Didn't you get it yesterday?
No, I moved my appointment. It was originally yesterday, but I got super sick for 2 days, and I obviously had a premonition of that, and that would have knocked me out for today.
Sure. So anyway, Zach cannot be here, but he's here in spirit. Anyway, I am so excited to introduce everyone, but I'm not going to introduce them. You all are going to introduce yourself. Daniel, who are you? Tell us about yourself really quick. We're going to let everyone go.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm host of the Gavritz podcast, which can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other streaming platforms. And we have our own website, Facebook page, Twitter page. So follow us there.
Woot woot.
And I say we, but it's just
me.
Gosh.
Well, yeah. Joey Magidson wearing Grogu.
The child. I'm Joey. I own and partially operate Awards Radar, and I was in fact paid to be here. So suck it, everyone else.
Always so humble. Erik Anderson, tell me about yourself.
Hi.
Oh God, I love your shirt.
Yes, I'm representing because this is an Oscar conversation.
True story.
There's also this one that should have won. So come on, I'm just bringing it all full circle. Oh, Awards Watch. That's me.
All right. So the next person has their Crash shirt on, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm going in order to this green room here. Audrey Fox, how are you? Thanks for being here.
Hello. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Audrey. I'm the assistant editor at Gemcut Online, and I'm a staff writer at Crooked Marquee and We Live Entertainment. So that's me.
Woo woo! Matt Neglia repping that Five Bloods hat. I love it.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm Matt Neglia, and I operate as the owner and editor-in-chief of nextbestpicture.com.
Love it. The Oscar expert, he also has a name. Hopefully his audio is going to be really, really good for everyone. Let's find out.
Good evening, everybody. This is the Oscar expert, a.k.a. Cole, and Brother Bro is here. He's just making sure that we see if we have a piece of audio, but we are the Oscar expert on YouTube. Just next to Max Joseph in your search bar, you look at predictions. He's always right alongside us, and now we are officially in company, and we're very happy to be here.
Honored to have you. Luke, speaking of YouTube people, Luke, how are you, my love? Uh-oh, I can't hear you, even though you look so dashing. Hello? Oh, no. What's going on? Can't hear you.
One sec.
There you go. Hi.
Hello, mate. Can you hear me?
That's the ticket, Charles.
There we go. Sorry about that. Was a bit of a kerfuffle. Hello, Maximus. Thank you so much for having me, mate. Yeah, I am Luke Hearfield. You can find me on YouTube. Yeah, talking all things Oscars with you guys. Thanks for having us, Max.
Thank you for being here, you handsome devil. We have the one, the only, looking fly as heck. We saw him on the red carpet. The one and only Clayton Davis.
Hi, everyone. Clayton Davis, Film Awards Editor at Variety. Came to hang out and celebrate the end of all of this. Very, very long season.
Thank God.
We're here, and I believe last but certainly not least, we have Griffin. Griffin, how the heck are you? God, that setup is so flawless.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on here. I run the FilmSpeak YouTube channel. I run the FilmSpeak website, and I talk about all of this. And it'll be great to kind of finally put this 2020 season to bed. So,
amen. Well, my friends, here we are. Really quickly, just for fun, what is everyone's favorite movie of the 2020 season? I'm gonna go with Daniel. Please talk to me, baby.
So, if you follow me on Twitter, you would know that my number one movie, which I know is shared with a lot of people here, was Promising Young Woman, directed and written by the incomparable Emerald Fennell in her feature film debut as a director and writer, and starring the I'm gonna say it should have been an Oscar winner, Carey Mulligan, but I love how bold, audacious, and original it is, and I'm glad it won the original screenplay Oscar.
Heck yes. How about you, Amy? Amy, favorite movie?
I do also share a passion for Promising Young Women, but I'm going to go with Another Round. That movie.
Yes!
I watched it at 8:45 in the morning. I was like, should I watch a movie about alcohol at this time? But I'm so glad I woke up early and watched it. And it impacted me in a way I did not expect it to hit. And I'm so happy for Winterberg right now, honestly. He's given some of the best speeches this award season.
That's a true story. Erik Anderson, I want to take a guess of your favorite movie based on your shirt, but I will let you go ahead.
Yeah, no, it is actually Nomadland, and I loved a whole lot of this year because of the sheer amount of films with so much empathy as their main theme, and this almost most of all. I just thought it was beautiful from beginning to end, and I am just so happy that it won.
Speaking of people who just like for some reason knew Nomadland was going to win over a year ago, Clayton, talk to me.
Didn't know anything.
I don't know. You're a year in advance.
It's really good guessing when you're this far out. But yeah, it's Nomadland. Pretty boring, I guess, that way. But close, very, very close number 2 was Onward. I loved Onward this year.
One of the questions was almost the movie that made you cry the hardest. And that would probably be my number one as someone who has lost their father.
Yep.
That movie absolutely wrecked me. Great choice. Luke, you beautiful man. Talk to me.
God, we had some good ones this year. I think I'm going to have to just be a sheep and agree with Dan that Promising Young Woman was my personal fave, but I also have such a tender heart, like soft spot for the father as well. Like that movie just, I don't know, just really spoke to me as someone who had a grandparent with dementia and one with Alzheimer's. It was just, I don't know, that touched something deep within my soul. So probably Promising Young Woman for sheer entertainment value, but then the father for emotional impact. Yeah.
Fair. Cole, aka Oscar expert, aka beautiful man haircut. Talk to me. If you're there. Are you there, Margaret? Anyone? Bueller? We're going to come back to this handsome devil. Matthew Neglia. I hope it's all right that I'm calling you Matthew, but that's just like what I'm really feeling right now. Talk to me.
It's quite all right. Yeah, my favorite film, I made no I made no, and it was not a secret. For me, it was Promising Young Woman. It was, since I saw it at the premiere at Sundance, and it held on to that title all year long. And well, what a journey to be a fan of that film, and knowing full well that it was going to ignite some very passionate discourse and conversation. And that's what I was looking forward to. And I loved every single piece that everyone wrote about it, whether it was good or it was bad. I think it was doing what it intended to do, which was create a conversation around it. And couldn't be happier that Emerald Fennell picked up that Oscar.
Absolutely. Mr. Joey Magidson.
Yeah.
I think I know yours, actually.
Yeah, no, Awards Radar became a Focus Features fan account. It's Promising Young Woman, but close behind, pretty close behind is Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, it was. They were 1A and 1B the whole year, and I went on the Promising Young Woman bandwagon at the end, but Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, pour one out. Should have done better.
True story. Griffin.
Yes.
Talk to me.
Well, considering the fact that I made a video called "Why Soul is a Masterpiece," it's Soul. So, I mean, like, look, that's just a film that like hit me on so many different levels. Just being a creative, I'm sure it hit many of us in the same way. But, and I loved how outside of the box it was, how mature it was for Pixar, and it just very quickly kind of like skyrocketed to my like top 3 favorite Pixar films ever. So that to me was just something very special. So yeah, Soul for me.
Spoiler alert, that's mine too.
Hell yes.
David.
Yeah, great to be here. For me, it was very, very early in the season. I was really hyped for the movie and was blown away when I saw it. For me, it was Judas and the Black Messiah. I thought Daniel Kaluuya was extraordinary, but the screenplay was fantastic. The cinematography, right from that opening bar sequence, was brilliant. And I was really hoping Judas was going to do well in the Best Picture race. It obviously got that nomination, but I was hoping it was going to do better at some of the precursors and have more of a chance come Oscars Sunday. But delighted for Kaluuya. He gave one of the speeches of the night as well. Very, very, very funny, some of the stuff he said there. But Judas and the Black Messiah for me, and probably The Father in second. The Father was just such a powerful film. So hard-hitting, tremendous on so many levels. But Judas and the Black Messiah won, The Father 2.
Excellent choices. I think someone is back. Oscar expert, are you there? It's me, Margaret.
I'm here. We're good over here now.
Oh, thank
my
you.
favorite movie of last year, not nominated in one category, but it was I'm Thinking of Ending Things. It was it unlocked a lot on rewatches, and it's the movie that like when I think the most about it, there's just like rabbit holes of depth that I can just like kind of go down for it. So that's the one I think I'll remember the most.
Heck yes. My thing got out of order, so I know I missed someone. Audrey, did I get you? Did I get you?
No.
Thank God. I'm okay. Hi. So sorry. My thing got out of order. Talk to me.
Yeah. My favorite, I think, was Sound of Metal. I saw it like September 2019, the last day of TIFF, after watching 60 movies over the course of a week, like completely exhausted. But that's still the movie that I think about the most. So really had an impact on me, and I loved it. So Sound of Metal.
All excellent choices. Did I miss anyone? I don't think I did. Beautiful. Okay. So the next question, I had some other like basic ones, but I think we all want to maybe talk a little bit about the Oscars. So let's try this. Favorite moment from the Oscars. I would like to start with Erik. I like that zoom in. Yo, God, someone take a screenshot of that.
I feel like I need to be prepared for that, because all of a sudden it's just like, okay, find your jawline, get it together, let's go.
No, you look gorgeous. Stop it.
Sadly, my favorite part of the Oscars was the opening, was Regina King going from the little gay brunch area picking up the Oscar, the long tracking shot, credits, all of that, because it was giving us what we thought we were going to get and what we were promised the show was going to be like. And I was like, this is fire. This is amazing. I'm so excited. This is so cool. But it's never good when the opening moment is the highlight of the show. But it was for me.
You right. Oh no, these Oscars. Joey Magidson.
Oh, well, it's a three-way tie between the trivia game, the in memoriam, and Best Picture not being last.
You need to leave. You need to leave right now.
No, best moment. Honestly, the first category. Again, it's not good when it starts off strong and goes downhill. But Regina King kind of like just talking about why they're so great. I didn't miss not having the clips. I would then miss the clips later on, but that I was here for. I was like, okay, it's a little more of an intimate gathering. Then it, epically shit the bed. But until then, I was good.
Fair. Daniel, brilliant, my friend. Talk to me. What was your favorite moment of these quote Oscars?
I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Kevin Jacobson, who is the biggest Glenn Close stan I know. And honestly, my favorite moment was Glenn Close doing debut. I know it was at a weird part of the night, but it gave us memes forever. It gave us Glenn Close having a moment in a night when we knew she wasn't going to win. And it actually brought a bit of levity to an Oscar show that I thought really needed it, because it was a little dry, in my opinion.
That's fair. That's a good point. You were there. Talk to me, Clayton.
Yoo Jung-yoon winning supporting actress. It was historic. It was well deserved. I liked it, and it was the only time that I feel like COVID robbed us of a moment, because I think Brad Pitt totally would have kissed her on stage. 100% would have happened. It was COVID. She said, "Hello, Brad Pitt." It was right there for us, and stupid COVID. But the historic significance of Yoo Jung-yoon winning was pretty big. I loved it.
Would you talk about that, like, if you would like, for just I know that. Talk about that for just a hot second. Why it was so historic.
Second Asian woman to ever win an acting category, behind Miyoshi Umeki, Sayonara, 1957. So long road coming. And I can't take credit for this. I heard this somewhere on Twitter. It might have even been Matt Neglia or Sam Coffey. Someone said it. They said Zhao Sushen walked so Yoo Jung-yoon could run. And that was like a very, very poignant moment of, she's not our first worthy of all this time, but it was super dope just to see her have her moment.
That's a good one. How you doing?
Hey, so I'm going to be an agent of chaos and say,
oh god,
the last few minutes, you could not have orchestrated a dumber moment. I tried so hard. They could not have made it fall apart any more than that. I was just, it was upsetting, but I was also laughing because, come on. So the end is what I would say.
True story. Matt, Thew, Neg, Liatova. I've now made you Jewish.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Uncut Gems is my favorite film. No, I'm kidding. I would say my favorite moment from the night. There's a lot because there's also so much bad. I gotta just shout out Audrey just there. Like the chaos of the ending. It's like I hated it, but I also love how much it gave us to kind of talk about and be passionate over in an enraging way, of course. But that's definitely a lie. I mean, the real favorite moment of the evening for me would probably be, honestly, the Best Picture speech. Hearing Chloe Zhao speak first. Frances McDormand urging people to go to movie theaters to see these nominated films. I wish the evening had so much more of that. And then Frances howling like a wolf in tribute to Michael Wolf Snyder at the end was just that should have been the final moment of the evening.
And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Luke.
Hey. Oh, best moments of the night. Oh, you guys have cherry picked so many of the good ones. I mean,
you can repeat if you want.
Well, let's say this: Glenn Close twerking to Debut lives in my head rent free. So yeah, that was something pretty special. But actually no, I'd like to change my answer to Daniel Kaluuya's mum sinking into the chair like she is Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out, in the sunken place. That was just when she heard my mom and dad had sex, and then she was just like, I don't know, the chair almost swallowed her up. I was living for that moment. I was just like, the tequila has just kicked in that Daniel did before the Oscars started. So the speech was so humble, and then it went to that, and I was like,
it was all over the place, and it just made me so darn happy. Academy Award winner, Daniel Kaluuya. Griffin.
I think I'm gonna have to echo Clayton. I think Yoo Jung-yoon winning was just like incredible. Just like her presence, like how like adorable she was to watch, but just like even more than that, the significance of that win. And I agree with him. I think that we definitely would have gotten a great moment on camera of her and Brad Pitt like probably kissing or something like that. But even more than that, she was so deserving of that win, and I was like, I was just thrilled that they actually went with it. But a close second would probably be Kaluuya's speech. Just so good, so good. I love that guy, so I'm really happy that he finally is an Oscar winner.
Amen to that. Oscar expert. I don't know whether to call you Oscar expert or Cole. So what do you prefer?
Whichever one rolls off your tongue is good.
Oscar Cole. Perfect.
You can call me Oscar Cole or Cole Oscar. I definitely liked, in terms of the show, I liked the opening tracking shot that they had going. It left me feeling optimistic, about like what the rest of the show would be stylistically, even if it didn't live up. But in terms of like the wins, I think I loved all the acting winners like a lot. I loved Ye Jung-yoon, but I'm all about the surprises, and for me, the surprise was Best Actress. And for like a category that was so insane all season, it remained a surprise, which I liked, and it went the direction that like I personally would have voted, so which I wasn't expecting, which is great. So I really, really did like the surprise of McDormand winning.
Definitely. Amy.
Hello. I've already said this kind of in my introduction, but I'm going to go with Vinterberg again. He did kind of ramble on, but this was one speech that actually benefited from not being cut off, because that tribute at the end to his daughter, who has fortunately died now, I think that was really touching, and I'm so glad he had the opportunity to give that speech.
Yeah, that was actually one of my favorites, if not my favorite speech. I thought that was really cool. And also, I personally appreciated that they let everyone talk for as long as they want. I know that I'm sure a lot of people on this video are probably mixed about that, but I think the Oscars are about the Oscars, and I want to hear someone talk for 2 minutes. I don't care. But yes, great call. David, did I get to you?
No, not yet.
Talk to me.
For me, it's one of the craziest moments I've ever seen on television. It was Glenn Close doing Debut.
Yep.
And look, I believe she's had 8 Oscar nominations, and I am campaigning for Glenn Close to win her first Oscar. I think she deserves it so much. But for her to do Debut and bring a bit of joy in a season that's been so full of sadness and loss, I just thought Glenn Close really did something great there. So big fan of Glenn Close.
Definitely. I believe I got to everyone. So this leads me into, we've talked a lot about just how good these actors, how good the winners were. Something that I was thinking a little bit about, is this one of the best group of winners ever? Because if you look at like ceremony aside, I think the wins are unbelievable. So I'm curious what y'all think. Oscar expert's not there. I was going to start with him. So Clayton, I'd love to talk to you first.
Best group of winners ever. That's high
Maybe
praise.
not ever, but like in the couple decades, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Like the I think what's interesting is that as the collective group of awards lovers and Oscar pundits and everyone got mad at the Academy, and it had nothing to do with their winners. So yes, there was not any embarrassment, I think, in their wins, more or less. Like there were some things that can definitely be questioned, but there were not. I don't think there was a bad winner among the group. They're probably. I mean, I really love the Forrest Whitaker year of that crop of winners. Like just in kind of just complete bonkerness of how it all played out in that season. But yeah, I mean, there was no denying that each of them were worthy. Like Hopkins and Bozeman in particular, I think that's what people on the internet got the most angry about. Right. Was probably, I mean, I've said it a lot that it reminds me a lot of Casey Affleck, Denzel Washington year. It was the correct 1-2 of the category that just definitely out for the season. You know, like, yes, it sucks on, you know, that Bozeman didn't win, you know, and he was, of the two, he's my preference. But Hopkins, that does not say that Hopkins is terrible in the slightest. He's fantastic, his career best. Yep. So, you know, I think what we all need to always remember is that our favorites don't always win, and that happens every single year, you know, and like my personal winners of the acting categories, like only one of them was actually nominated. So it's just the way the kind of thing plays out. But it was a great crop of winners, and you can't beat a moment that gives Chloe Zhao an Academy Award. So I'm down with all of them.
Yep. Griffin.
Yeah, I mean, I think like talent wise, it's definitely like one of the stronger years for sure. It was sort of like one of those things where it's like the people who should have won, so there weren't a whole lot of surprises in a lot of ways. I also think that there were like a fair amount of things that like people and like I guess people who were left out, but I think that just goes to show how strong of a year it kind of weirdly turned out to be. Right. I don't know. I don't know if it's the best. I still look back at like the 2014 Oscars as like being a really, really good one for me personally. I'd probably have to I don't know. I mean, like, again, really strong year. Everyone who should have won. So I can't really like complain. But yeah, it's hard to say whether this is like a top 2 or top 3 sort of thing. You know.
Sure.
Actually, Max, to add to something that Griffin said real quick. Yeah. I think what's interesting, and I don't know if anyone else feels like this. Obviously, Twitter as a collective may feel differently.
People can chime in, by the way.
Yeah. I think that this was probably the most even playing field season that we'll ever have. You know, while it was long and drawn out and exhausting, I think this is probably the most pure of like what they liked, what they ended up going with that we'll ever have from the Oscars, unless it stays virtual forever. But I don't think I think we'll go back to some form of normalcy, but some items from this year will stay.
Erik, I added you in because I saw you below nodding your head, so just go ahead.
I just kind of want to piggyback on what Clayton said because I totally agree. One of the great things about why these winners were so good and why they're kind of going to be all-timers is because by and large, all of the nominations, all the nominees, especially for acting, were really, really good. There was very little filler. Every year, we get a lot of filler because we have more studio representation, and you get, you know, those votes and those voters kind of go in to push something. And there was so little filler that almost anybody that would have won would have been a great winner because it was a great set of nominees. If Riz Ahmed had won, amazing. Carey Mulligan, amazing. I would have had so little argument with most of the winners that it just kind of made it such an exceptional year. And I mean, I know we're all already kind of looking to next year and what the differences are going to be, and they're going to be pretty substantial. But I think these are some of the best winners in a really long time. Maybe like 2007 acting year was pretty great. But yeah, I think it's because we had such the fat was gone, the excess was gone, so we just had the good stuff, and it's just a great set of winners.
Yep. Audrey, welcome.
Hello. Yeah. I mean, I think this is a great group of winners, like everyone else has said. I feel like thinking back, I don't have them all memorized like every year.
Totally.
I feel like normally in a year there's one winner, and it could be in any of the 4 acting categories where I'm just like, no.
Right.
And that's not the case this year. So I'm happy with it, regardless of whether it's, top 5, top 2, but it's definitely in my mind in the upper echelon. So
Cole expert Cole Oscar person thing.
That's me. Yeah, I really, really loved every single winner in every category, and I was kind of thinking about like, did they just pick everybody that I would have like checked off? And I think they may have. And someone said like they don't pick every year they pick like somebody who's like not your favorite. And I would normally agree, but I'm not sure if they may have picked all my favorites, at least as far as like who was nominated. And yeah, like they're in the leading acting categories where there's like the most dispute over, maybe this person should have been in, this person, like even if you swapped out certain winners, it still would have been like one of the best crops of acting winners. And I think part of that was like that every single Best Picture nominee had like multiple superb performances. So, I mean, I don't know if that was because like the blockbusters were narrowed down and we just got like the indies where you're just concentrating on like writing and performances, but like everything was so well acted.
Yeah, and I think Cole, just to add to what you were talking about here, I think when I talk about the even playing field also is that with the removal of like parties and schmoozing, right? Like I think about the whole dynamic of the race and how it would have changed. Like, for instance, like I know Sophia Loren would have made it in if there were parties this year. Like there's no way I think she gets left off. I think Paul Raci is way more competitive because you get him in a room on stage, he tells a story, people cry, and then like I think he's there as well. I think obviously there's this like kind of post-mortem that everyone is trying to reckon with, and we usually have like 1 or 2 things like, oh, we can switch this, we can change that, but there's so much to take into account of like, what if this was just a regular standard year?
Yeah.
And one big mounting question, and this is gonna add to the Carey Mulligan stands out there to like run with for eternity. I think of all this season, I think she probably got screwed the most in terms of how her trajectory would have followed in a regular season. You think about if Globes kept her comedy, she would have won the Globe comedy.
Easily.
She would have had Critics' Choice. If BAFTA didn't do juries, does she make it? Does she win? Does it pivot? And then does she actually win SAG? Because at that point, she's almost a steamroller. So there's all this kind of like all these multiple X factors in this equation. We'll never know the answer to. It becomes my mounting question of, when I die and I ask God if Heath Ledger was alive, does he win for The Dark Knight? And we may never know those answers. And it's the same thing with Chadwick. One thing that everyone was very weary of saying, and I'll say it here, and it's not in the ugly vitriol that, Twitter said it. Chadwick dying didn't help him get nominated, but I think it helped him lose. In some ways. I think in some ways it allowed people to kind of run with that in their own head without saying it out loud. And that's why in those weeks, week leading up to the actual ceremony, and I was sounding the alarms like I think Chadwick's about to lose. It was versions of that without actually saying it.
Daniel, I saw you waving your hand.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add to that. So as soon as Hopkins won the BAFTA, I had an inkling because I think I think I agree with Clayton's point that if Chadwick was campaigning and was live, it would have been a lot easier. And then to go off that point, I think it was also weird when you saw so many people predicting a non-Best Picture nominee to win 2 acting awards, which would have been historic, and also would have been historic in you would have had 2 people of color winning the lead awards. And that is something that, while I do really like this group of winners, that is something like to get to multiple people of color. I mean, it hasn't happened since Denzel and Halle, so it's only happened once. And I think that is the next step we need to get to with the Oscars. I'm not sure if it'll come next year or soon, but I mean, we got a 9 out of 20 this year. I think the next step is more equity in the wins, and because like Viola has no problem winning SAG, but it seems like she has a problem winning lead awards at the Oscars, and we have to figure out why that is what I would say.
I mean,
Awards Radar Zone, Joey Grogu Magidson, Billy Madison. Continue.
Okay, then. I'll have a little bit more of a modulated take and say it's too early to tell. Sometimes 5 years from now you look back and go, oh, that aged really well, or it didn't. At the time, all the piss and vinegar I have for this or that, it kind of conflates things for me a little bit. I mean, the only thing that, what everyone says, right? There's no real issue with any of the winners. There was no real issue with any of the nominees for the most part. The only thing that, maybe deducted a few points for me, and this is strictly a personal opinion, is, when someone gets a second or a third, it's a little less exciting to me than, oh, we crossed someone off on the list. Like, I don't think Glenn Close should have won this year, but I definitely think there's more enthusiasm for, oh, she finally won, as opposed to, even in, let's remove Anthony Hopkins because, the Chadwick Boseman of it all made it a little bit more aggressive. But for instance, a third, like, the performance isn't bad. The performance is worthy of a win or a nomination at least, but giving her a third when Viola Davis doesn't have a second, when Karen Mulligan doesn't have a first, and so on, that dings it just a little bit. So, like, sure, it could wind up a pretty good one, but I'm not quite ready to anoint it.
Fair. Amy.
Yes, so I think the past few years have kind of burned us out with the acting categories. There's been 1 or 2 which we just go, oh, really, we're going that way. But genuinely this year, I've loved all winners. They weren't my favorite, but I still loved them all. As far as are they the best, I have a personal bias towards the 2012-2013 year with Jennifer Lawrence, Daniel Day-Lewis. I think that was an incredible lineup, but it's definitely up there, that's for sure.
We seem to all be agreeing that it's definitely a good one. Mr. Neglia.
I don't really get invested as much in the winners and losers of it all because my stance is generally a large group of people got you into this group, and who am I as one person to disagree with such a large group of people?
Totally.
So I never get like bummed if somebody wins over my favorite or something like that. I get more bummed when one of my favorites doesn't get nominated amongst the 5. That usually bums me out more so than the winner loser aspect of it all. So is this like one of the best group of winners? I think what I have to say on the matter is kind of irrelevant, if I'm being completely honest with you, because
Sure.
What is best and what is best to me versus what is best to someone else, et cetera, et cetera. And like, we can debate that until the end of time and we'll end up going nowhere. We'll just end up going in circles about the whole thing. So in the end, no, I don't think this is the best group of winners of all time. I think it's probably one of the best. And I think that to say it is the best requires a little bit more heads up next time, Max, on these questions so that I can do my research beforehand.
No, I like it fresh.
That was very Switzerland of you, Matt. Switzerland.
I was thinking that.
Middle.
Yeah, he's starting his Oscar campaign now. He's like, there's no best. There's no best in acting.
Luke, give us a better answer than Matt. Come on.
Oh, okay.
I love you, Matt. I love you.
I know.
But I do, to an extent, I do agree with Matt as well, because
Totally.
what is best is subjective, really, to anybody. But if we're looking in, like, there's some years where you look back and there's so many historical things about it. Like, I mean, this year's a great example of progression and so many great wins for diversity. I mean, Chloe Zhao, second ever director to win, first woman of color. Emerald Fennell, first woman to win Best Original Screenplay since 13 years ago. That's pretty cool. Yajing Yu, second ever Asian woman to ever win an acting Oscar, and also 2 Black women to win hair and makeup as well, with Marion Bottom. Was it Jamaica Wilson and Mia Neal? So yeah, it is a good year in terms of like diversity and representation. But yeah, when it comes to best year, yeah, I guess time will tell. Really, mate. It's one of those things where you need to sort of let it breathe and see how it ages, I guess. Yeah.
Let's see. We have David.
Yeah, I sort of want to echo what Matt said there. Really, it is very subjective, and sort of who am I to say this is the best crop of winners of all time?
Ever since Matt, everyone's just saying, "Oh, well, it's
What have I done?"
Keep it going.
What I would say is it was seriously strong. Like, I've got the list of nominees in front of me here, and I'm thinking Riz Ahmed, you couldn't complain if he won. Chadwick Boseman, everyone was expecting him to win. Gary Oldman, I know he won for The Darkest Hour, but for me, his performance in Mank was a career best. I thought particularly his drunken acting in that which is something is very hard to do, was really tremendous. Then Stephen Yeun in Minari. And in the supporting category, I think Kaluuya wins any year. In my opinion, you could chuck Kaluuya in supporting in any year for many, many years, and he would win. So I'm not sure if it's the strongest. I think history will let us know there. But it was deep. It was really deep. There was no fluff, is what I'm trying to say. And in most categories, you wouldn't have been shocked if any one of the nominees had won.
Excellent points, everyone. So looking towards next year, we finally, in my opinion, have we're going to get 10 nominees in Best Picture. So just for fun, if you all don't mind, 2 movies that should have made Best Picture. Let's start with 1 second, because they were off and on. I have to add them. Here we go. Cole, 2 movies that should have made Best Picture.
Okay, there we go.
Nailed it.
The mute button was just not responding.
Sure.
I'm gonna. It'll be repetitive of me to say I'm thinking of many things, but I guess I would have to say I'm thinking of many things for one slot. And then I would have to go. I wish that like I Carry You With Me got like more of a sort of campaign. I don't even think it really got a release. I think they're waiting on this year for a release. So, but I mean, that movie, if I go down my list of favorites, like that's my second favorite that was eligible for this year's awards. So,
wow.
I mean, I think like, even like the editing and the cinematography in that movie, like some of the technical elements were really, really impressive for me. And I don't know. I thought that was a really like important story and like a great, like, I don't know, empathetic piece of art. So I definitely like to keep advocating for that movie.
Joey.
Well, not going to be a huge surprise that Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always is one of my picks.
I'm with you.
Should have been there in picture, actress, supporting actress, screenplay.
Agreed.
And then for the other one, I'm going to say The Way Back. Big miss on Affleck. Sort of was always on the periphery of the race, but especially in a year where we didn't get a ton of studio fare, it's a manipulative, emotional Hollywood sports movie, but it does it all so well that it's hard not to get caught up in it. I don't know. That movie just sort of blew me away, and we don't go for that movie anymore. And I feel like when we did, or when Oscar did, they sometimes go for the lesser of that. So
he also gave one of his best performances ever.
Yeah,
I think.
Goes without saying. My favorite performance of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that. Amy.
Yeah, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I'm going with Another Round again. I think it was possibly 6 for actor, and I think Riv was really passionate behind it. And I'm also going to say Soul. I was campaigning so hard for Soul to get in. It got 3 nominations, 2 wins. I love it. And they really need to break the stigma against animated films not making it into a lineup when there's not 10 nominees. So I think Soul should have made it in, and I think people need to recognize it. And Pete Docter should be getting a director nomination at some point as well.
You and me gonna have a little chat after this because you're my best friend now. You're my new best friend. Someone has mentioned. Joey mentioned Never Rarely. That was one of mine, and my other one was Soul. So both of mine are in. Neglia. Don't do something stupid this time.
I promise you I will try not to, but this might be the stupid part. I too am a huge fan of I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Massive fan. I think Charlie Kaufman is carving out a place for himself alongside filmmakers like David Lynch and Stanley Kubrick in terms of just what he is doing with the cinematic language. It's truly incredible to me. But the second choice actually solidified itself for me on a rewatch after the nominations had come out. It was my second time watching this film, and I was more blown away by it than I was the first time. And that is Quo Vadis Aida, a movie that I think
yes.
Yeah. If it had a distributor earlier on in the season and gotten a fair shake at the campaign season of it all, I think that movie would have made an even larger impact in areas like director, actress, and quite honestly, like I love Another Round. And that's like one of those situations, once again, where it's like, I don't really care which one wins, but I think Quo Vadis Aida should have been much more in contention for that win than it was, because that film is truly a knockout.
1 gajillion %. She should have been up for actress.
Yeah.
And that is one of the best finales of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Holy God, that's a good call. Daniel, genius, brilliant. The second.
I'm going to echo what Matt said on Quo Vadis Aida. I caught that shortly before the Oscars, and it is my number 2 film of the eligibility period. That was an emotional wreck. Max, as a fellow Jewish person, any film about genocide really gets to me because we've learned the history of the Holocaust growing up, so it hits close to home. Yep. And then my second one would be the film to your left, which is One Night in Miami, which I think was done a lot of disservice this award season. And I think, no offense to Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, a film I like, but I prefer One Night in Miami of the African-American play adaptations. I know we don't have to put them against each other, but if one was going to get more awards, I would have given more to One Night in Miami. I think it should have been recognized for production design. I think it should have been recognized more for its costumes as well. Its costumes were very good. I think not just Leslie Odom Jr., but Kingsley Ben-Adir,
thank you,
Eli Gorey, and Aldous Hodge were all phenomenal. And Regina King being the first Black woman to get a Best Director nomination would have been amazing. So I just think that, like, I heard a lot of people say they found it boring and slow. I did not get bored one moment during that movie. I found it compelling throughout, and I think it should have done better.
Kingsley Ben-Adir, just for anyone who cares, was in my 5 for Best Actor. I don't know how that got lost. I think he gave such a freaking stellar performance. Couldn't agree more. That is a great pick. Audrey.
Yeah, I love all your choices. First of all, my 2 picks would be Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. Wept. Oh my God. And then also just to kind of like, I loved Emma. I thought Emma was amazing.
Yes.
I watched that movie so many times. You know, maybe it's not a traditional Best Picture movie, but it's delightful. And like, why not have more delightful movies make it into the race?
And I think that one of its downfalls was not downfalls, but that it came out 90 years ago, basically.
Yeah.
Because that's just, this season was approximately 92 years long.
Yeah.
And so
everything shut down is when I saw Emma. So. Yeah.
And it's so good. It's so delightful. The performances are great. The production is awesome. That's a great choice that I wasn't expecting. Good call.
She's reminding me that both my movies came out the weekend before the shutdown. So
yep.
Yeah.
Erik.
Everybody has fantastic choices. Cole, bless your heart for continuing to push I Carry You With Me. That movie is amazing and just was kind of abused in the release strategy, just horrifically. I'm going to echo a lot and pick Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. I think it is unlike anything that was released last year. I'm glad for Cindy Flanagan's wins that she got and for Eliza Hittman's wins on the critic's path leading up to everything else. And I think my other is First Cow, which, again, on my path to films with empathy and quietness and understanding, it was just right there with Nomadland for me. And I think it was one of the most interesting and queer-coded domestic relationships right there in its core. It's super short. It's beautifully shot. That's a movie that is in my head still, and I think about all the time. I adore it.
Great calls. We have a new person joining us. It is with Brother Bro. He doesn't actually have a name. It's just with Brother Bro. Brother Bro, 2 movies that should have made Best Picture. Welcome.
Oh. No, I just. Well, I mean, I'm boringly similar to Oscar expert here, but I would definitely wait. What are my picks? I forget.
Now I did mine too. It's fine.
Yeah, I've been trying to set up my Wi-Fi all day, so I have terrible concentration right now. But
that's okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking of anything, and you know what? I'll just say like Boys State maybe for documentary. Like his documentary.
Yeah, throw a doc in there.
Some doc has to get in there.
Love it. You know what? I'm gonna add Clayton to this because Clayton, I saw. Speaking of documentaries, I saw your year in advance predictions, and you had Flea, which I also saw at Sundance, which is
Clayton.
Unfreaking believable. One of the best docs I've seen in a while.
Make that push.
Please talk about A, Flea, and why you think it's going to get in, and B, 2 movies that you think should have gotten in.
Flea. It's an animated documentary that's in a foreign language. It's gonna get in all 3. I don't know. I mean, it could. I mean, Neon's passionate about it, and they did right with Parasite, so why not do right in other ways? So I'm really looking forward to the world experiencing Flea because it's very, very, very good and very strong.
Agreed.
Yep.
I mean, it's selfish to say any film that's in my top 10 that Oscar didn't nominate should be there, right? So Onward, A Son, that should have been in international, but also Best Picture. 40-Year-Old Version, Best Script of the Year that everyone just ignored. Palm Springs, because you can laugh and still have it be a good movie. I'm also a big fan of I'm Thinking of Ending Things as well, so I appreciate everyone throwing it out there. My favorite doc of the year was The Way I See It, and I thought that should have been in the conversation. And Farewell Amore from Ekwa Masangi, which not enough people saw, and I feel like if they saw, we would have one thing that someone mentioned earlier, was like Ma Rainey and One Night in Miami and Judas, and that seemed to kind of be it. Right. There were more that it's just that people kind of look just within their inner circle typically. And one thing that we didn't discuss about Viola losing down the line, is that it was only ever just Viola or Andra, as options. We weren't considering anyone else. And I always felt the Oscars are such an easy scapegoat to the problem that exists in Hollywood. There aren't enough roles for Black women. And listen, there was only one Black woman that was in real, quote unquote, contention in supporting actress, and that was Dominique Fishback. And she
should have gotten more love.
I mean, and she, listen, I still think she was right there in the end. It needs to be a plethora of options. We can't get mad when they don't do the one in the convo. But yeah, I think it was a really strong year for film. I don't think there was a bad movie that Oscar did nominate, but there were just better films that they could have. We overlapped 3 for 8.
I just want to add to something Clayton said about Black actresses. That's why I am, I know jumping ahead to next year, I'm personally pushing for Jennifer Hudson to get an Oscar nomination this year for Respect, because people still crap on her Dreamgirls win. And I think she's very talented. And I know it's a music biopic, but it's a music biopic written and directed by Black women. And I mean, who doesn't love Aretha Franklin? So I think Jennifer could be in contention this year. And there are other women of color that are going to be in contention this year, like Ana de Armas in Blonde. And I can't think. Clayton, you could say something.
Tessa Thompson in Passing. But I think that's what tends to happen sometimes. We have historic years like this, and people kind of, and I'm not saying you're saying this, Daniel, I'm just saying kind of collectively on the internet, they think, oh, it's cool, like we have diversity. You know, the record year before this year was 2006, where there were 7 of the 20, and the very next year we just had Ruby Dee.
Right.
And that was it. This year, we have a lot of Latinos that are in contention, but not a whole lot of Black directors and Black women, not as much as we had this year. So we're always like offsetting. I'm waiting for the year that we're firing on all cylinders in that front. So yeah, there are some great things ahead, but there's still a whole lot more work to do.
Luke.
Hello. Yes. So I just had to pull up my letterbox to try and scroll through and find something that no one had said just yet.
Favorite activity, that.
Yeah, indeed. But to echo what Amy was saying, Another Round is just, that movie gives me life. I think about it pretty much every day. The final scene, sorry, the finale.
That's what it's called, final?
Yeah, finale. Yeah, new word, guys, coined today. Yeah.
That's what Another Round will get you.
Hashtag film. So yeah, Another Round. Oh yeah, I just absolutely adore that movie. I think about it every day. And it's not a film that I know could be nominated for Best Picture, but it's sort of like a wishful pick, and because it's a little divisive as well. But I have a real soft spot for I Care a Lot. I just think it's a real sharp bit of satire, and I was so entertained watching it. I was so uncomfortably entertained. It opens your eyes to something that is just so, hideous that can actually happen and does happen. And it's approached with humor, Black comedy, and I love that. And I feel like maybe because Promising Young Woman was sort of in a similar vein, that was kind of getting all the attention, that it was just a bit more, I don't know, it was more accessible, I think, than I Care a Lot, and also more critically regarded. So yeah, I just love it. I Care a Lot, though. I would have loved to have seen it. Just get a nomination anywhere would have been nice, but yeah, I would have loved to have seen the Best Picture now.
Griffin.
Sorry, I was muted there. Piggybacking off of the, this would never happen in a million years. I would have loved to have seen a world where everyone loved Tenet and Tenet got into Best Picture, if not for just the production behind it or the craftsmanship of it.
Sure.
But if I'm being more realistic, Soul, for sure. I think, not that it really would have had a chance, but something like The Invisible Man that came out early on that was just an incredibly well-made movie with an incredible leading performance. Listen, it's a horror film, so it's it would never crack the Best Picture top 10 or anything like that, but that would be really cool. And then honestly, Da 5 Bloods, that movie fucking rocked me, and I'm still pissed about the Delroy Lindo nomination snub and everything, but look, that, I don't know, it's for me, that is one of my favorite Spike Lee films. I think it just it was so just very confronting about what it was trying to say, and the performances and the way they balanced both the modern day stuff with going back to their time in the war and everything. And Chadwick Boseman is unbelievable in that film as well. Jonathan Majors, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, that film to me just it's a real tragedy that it wasn't given the recognition that it deserved.
Agreed. David.
Yeah, so I thought I was going to have one that hadn't been picked, but it just has been picked, but I'm going to go for it anyway, and that is Spike Lee's Da 5 Bloods. This film came out, it feels like it came out a long time ago, and I think it had a bit of fatigue come award season, but it was a tremendous film, and Delroy Lindo, his performance in this was... it was a harsh snub. This was a seriously good performance. That bit where he's hacking his way through the bush and talking to the camera, I think is some of the best acting of this season. Certainly some of the best of his career. And secondly, I'm going to go for something really, really controversial. I'm not sure it was eligible, but it was a film that completely divided film Twitter, and that's Malcolm and Marie. I'm not sure.
Shit. Yeah,
I love watching everyone go like this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what everyone made of that, but for me, John David Washington and Zendaya, like this was the way this was shot, the way this was put together. Firstly, the way this was executed, like this was one of my favorites of the year. Like this blew me away. I thought the performances were brilliant. I thought the cinematography was great. And overall, yeah, Malcolm and Marie, I feel like that's a film that in other seasons, like this could have been a really, really big film. But for me, it just felt like it caused chaos on Twitter, and then it just sort of vanished, which is a shame because I was a big fan of Malcolm and Marie and The Five Bloods. I thought both of those films were really top draw.
I'm gonna just slightly interrupt for one moment just to say really quick, Malcolm and Marie's victory this season is that 90% of what it had to say it was right about.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say about that.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Never thought about that. I know that Clayton has a piece out in a second, so Clayton, I'm gonna ask you one last question and then you can duck out. But let's do this. Let's do this.
Oh boy.
Let's just for shites and giggles. I am curious what we think.
Host. Always host. Yeah, you need a host. Actually, I'm so glad we didn't have a host this year because somebody holding that bag of crap at the end, I would have felt so bad for them. I still feel like Questlove secretly had to hold it anyway. But yes, I think there always should be a host. I think a host brings it makes the night chug along. It's always a great opening. Like I think of like Ellen's openings and Jimmy Kimmel's. I think always a host. You should not ever have to. I don't know why we stayed hostless this year. That was beyond me. But I think a lot of people just don't want the job right now.
That's fair. And then someone's going to chime in, I'm sure. What would your opinion be if that meant not all the Oscars are presented on telecast?
No, that's stupid too. Like no.
But if you had to choose between like there is a host, yeah, go ahead. Oh
no, then Oscars on stage, not during a commercial break. It's about the awardees, not the host. I would love the Oscars at some point to stop chasing ratings, yes. And I think as long as they're with ABC, they're never going to do that. What that means for the future, I don't know. What Oscars brought to you by YouTube, I think could work, but I don't know. Like everyone's consuming content differently, and I think that one day opportunity will present itself to the Academy of really being able to like take off the bumpers and then just like chuck something crazy down the lane to see what happens, because there's too much of a focus on what's accessible for general audiences, and I think that's always been the big mistake.
Sure.
But keep trying, keep diversifying the membership, and we're seeing the fruits of that labor now.
True. David,
I think it's a tough one, but for me, it's got to be a host. I think a host can really. I mean, Clayton makes the point about ratings. Like a big name can pull in the ratings, and I spoke about it to a few guys in the pre-show. Look at someone like Ricky Gervais with the Golden Globes. When they announced Gervais doing the Golden Globes, like everyone's talking about it, everyone wants to watch it. So I think for me, you need a host. I mean, I will say I wouldn't want to have been the host this year with that ending. That would have been awkward as hell. But for me, I think you need a host, someone to move things along. And hopefully we'll see that in the coming years again.
Definitely. If you want in the comments, feel free to say who you think should be the next host, if you think there should be one. Let's have Audrey.
Host 100%. I think the Academy needs to stop being scared of having low ratings, because like, let's face it, there is a cap on how many people are really going to be watching the Oscars live in this like day and age with, Twitter being able to give you the, results immediately in real time. So I think they need to just focus on making it an event that's enjoyable for the people who are interested in the Oscars, and something that honors the attendees and honors the history of cinema. And I think, they try so hard, and they hurt themselves trying to fix this problem that isn't really going to go away. So I think a host would be a great way of just making it more of a cohesive thing. It feels so disjointed when there's nobody connecting all of the awards together. So I'm on the host train.
Audrey, to add to that, you brought up a really good point, and I think what becomes the kind of Achilles heel to the Academy is they want to be this kind of buzzy conversation piece, with everything, but the people that are invested in the Oscars will watch it. There's such easy fixes that are well within their reach right now that they can do to make it more accessible for audiences. And what people always tend to forget, there's still the second most watched live event every year behind the Super Bowl. Like, there are people watching, it's just about, like, just do what you do well. Like, if you know movies well, then just stay in that movie genre, which is why I want them to go to like a YouTube, because if someone said John Mulaney, Nick Kroll, which I would effing love, by the way.
Yep.
But I don't want them on ABC because I don't want a watered down version of them. And that's why I think Chris Rock has not been the greatest host ever, is because he's always watered down. I need F-bombs during my telecasts.
Yep. Daniel, brilliant genius.
So I saw someone suggest Bo Burnham. I really love that idea. I think Bo Burnham is just I think he would be just a good happy medium for both general audiences and film people, because he has, been in Promising Young Woman, written and directed 8th Grade. So he's not only a comedian, but he's a filmmaker and an actor. So I think that's a good happy medium to go with. But also, I mean, like I just saw The Rock. The Rock would definitely boost ratings because, say what you will about The Rock, the man's an entertainer. The man did a WWE. He knows how to bring in an audience. So I agree on host. I think like even having someone like Jimmy Kimmel to bring it along. Like, imagine having no host during Moonlight La La Land. Imagine how badly that would have gone. And Kimmel handled it about as well as you could have done. And shout out to my friend Charlie. I think he wants to host now, but
Charles should host. He'd be great.
That'd be a really good one.
Yeah, he'd be good. But like at this point, like anybody. Hey, like I think Olivia Colman. Why not Olivia Colman? She'd kill it.
She would never do it.
Erik.
I actually like what they did in 2019 when Tina Fey and Maya Rudolph and Amy Poehler came out and did that extended sort of opening where we're not your hosts, but they were sort of, got everybody there. But in general, yeah, a host is a really good idea. I'm actually not a fan of Jimmy Kimmel at all. I thought he was really terrible with the Moonlight La La Land year. And I don't like him very much. But to Clayton's point, as long as these are on ABC, you're going to get ABC talent ahead of anybody else. Even though maybe we should kind of open that up a little bit to not just, a talk show host, but comedians, singers, entertainers. It's one of the reasons why Hugh Jackman was such an amazing host. He had everything. I think it would be kind of fun if they really, really want to keep it ABC. Wanda Sykes would be a fantastic host.
Oh my God, yes.
But an unfiltered Wanda Sykes, not an ABC Wanda Sykes.
Of course.
And that's the trouble you run into.
Working within the constraints of what it is, I would still like to see her. But, Kristen Wiig, Maya Rudolph, and any of these combinations of funny people, I would really like to see more women host. I know Whoopi Goldberg would probably never come back. Would love to see her. She's amazing. and she really loves movies. And I saw one of the comments on there was like, hire somebody that likes movies. That's a really good idea. And one of the things that made Goldberg so fantastic was how much she did and how much she got into it. When she did the costumes, it was just like, she just created moment on top of moment. And I think we want a little bit of that, not to take up the whole time of the show, but we want somebody that is our pilot in this. And we want to be entertained by something other than another montage.
Matthew Neglia.
So I like the montages. I'll just say that really quickly. But I agree with Erik that
if they're good and it makes sense, sure. If they're just like random, they take up 5 minutes of time.
I feel you on that. I can do without the Best Picture nominees getting a video montage in the lead up to Best Picture throughout the night. You could just save all of that for when you announce Best Picture. But I agree that a host is needed to keep things moving, to keep things entertaining throughout. It always sets the tone of the show in the beginning, depending on like the opening monologue or the opening musical number or whatever it is that they're choosing to do. And it's tradition. I think they got very lucky in 2018 when they didn't have a host for the first time with the musical performances and just the flow of that evening. And in 2019, I didn't feel it like as much, but you know, it was still pretty fun. This last year is just like such an anomaly in so many ways. And I think that when we look back, this Oscar ceremony is just going to be its own unique thing. But considering the ratings drop, considering what they strategically need to do at this point, I agree, whoever said it before, that they probably just can't find anybody right now that wants to do it. But I think that's horse shit. I think there are people who genuinely want to do it. They just may not feel that they are a good fit for pulling in those ratings. But you give a very, very talented person like a Wanda Sykes, as you said before, the reins, and they'll go. And I think that is something that they need to take a risk on at this point. And no, Joaquin Phoenix should definitely not host Charlie's
I wasn't
Right.
gonna highlight this, and then I saw it, and I said, "This is too good to not show. This is amazing."
Charles always chooses violence in this situation. Wait, can I just
It's not Bill Maher like Deadline suggested.
Oh, what was that?
I saw that. That was so bad.
I wanted to jump off a bridge.
No.
They would be really smart to even just capture the like in this past year. I wondered, why wouldn't they ask like Sarah Cooper to just like, she was huge the whole year, like with her Trump impersonations, like you grab someone who's just buzzy of the moment and you just like reel them in. I think Sarah would have done it. She would have said, yeah, you know, it would have been the biggest stage she ever took on, but I think she could handle it. I think they have to just allow the freedom for people to be themselves, you know, and not be, you know, so afraid of what can come back and not just chase the name.
And also,
I don't think it's always the name.
And also, too, not chase the ratings. You know, I was saying it in the lead up to this year's Oscars, and I kind of believe it. That 9.6 or whatever number it was, they should know that is their hardcore base number at this point. With very, very little promotion, with theaters being closed and everything else, that is their number that they can now work off of and say, all right, we know that this number is always going to tune in. Now we're chasing this number to get beyond that, the casual moviegoer, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's a good thing to have for this anomaly of a year and then moving forward. But do I think that they can ever reach, you know, the high 20s again or anything like that? Probably not, because television viewership is going to keep on dwindling no matter who they bring in the host, no matter what movies they have nominated. And I think they have to find other ways to start measuring their success than just these ratings.
Yeah, I'm going to share my final thought before I drop off, because I'm going to go. And thanks for having me, guys. Matt, into what you said, yes, I think they can get back up to the high 20s again one day. They're going to have to be very uncomfortable in the lead up to that ceremony, and them as a group that doesn't like to just kind of leave things to chance and are very protective of the organization. They have to be comfortable with the the non-comfort that they'll be sharing coming up to that moment, because the fix is more all around. Like, this year, that's your base, correct? And a year that we were all home, probably the least known crop of nominees that we've ever had.
Yep.
Mank, by the way, being the least known of all Best Picture nominees at 18%, which is bananas because it's on Netflix.
Yep.
So the Oscars needs to take those reins with a nomination special, prime time, which I keep screaming about. Because you introduce the nominees to the world, the world gets to learn about these movies and then get excited about it. Like I love the shorts, and I think the shorts should be there because that's where you see a lot of diversity. But if you're hell bent on keeping it on the show, you need to do a better job of introducing those to the world and making them available, because those are bathroom breaks for casual moviegoers, and for a lot of us is the make or break between winning your pool or not. So there's just kind of a lot of stuff all around that needs to be done. It isn't just with a host, but that can lead up to that high 20 or 30 million number.
I'm glad that you're optimistic that you feel that they can reach that again. I guess I'm just not as optimistic.
People love movies.
I want to add a few more people in so we can keep it going. Griffin, I had Oscar Expert here, but I'm sure he'll keep coming back. Griffin.
I'll see you guys.
Yes, Clayton. Thank you for joining.
Hi, Clayton. On the topic of host, no host. I agree with, I think Matt said it, where it was like the first year they did it, I think it actually really worked, and it had like this brisk energy that had been missing for a while. But I think part of that was also just due to the fact that they got lazy with the hosts in the whole ceremony prior to that, and they were just like, okay, we'll have Jimmy Kimmel come back for the nth time, even though he sucks, So like, it's just, I think they need people in there who can really liven things up, because I think this year showed that, like, yeah, maybe like once in a while, if you can't really find someone or whatever, which is, of course someone will host the Oscars. It's kind of ridiculous to say you can't find anyone, but like, I don't know. I feel like maybe once in a while, if you don't want to go with a host, doing it the way they did that first year is the way to do it. But yeah, I don't know. This year I was like, yeah, I really could have used a host, and it would have made that whole debacle at the end way better, well, not way better, but it would have at least, like, someone could have steered the ship into port, basically, instead of just leaving Joaquin Phoenix there to just be like, okay, all right, cool.
Oh, my.
Yeah, like, I mean, the poor guy, I felt so bad for him.
He doesn't feel bad.
I was gonna say,
yeah, that's true.
Do we feel bad?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but so I am leaning more towards host, and I think that's the big thing, and that's how you draw people in. If you get a big name, like we were just talking about The Rock earlier, and him being an entertainer, yeah, that's something that's gonna get people in there, especially and I know his show Young Rock is on like NBC, but say the Oscars for whatever reason moved over to NBC, he has a show over there, and he already has like a baked in audience into that network. So if you get him to host the Oscars, that audience is going to move over and probably be interested in watching him just do, really cool things for the ceremony. So, but I also agree with what Clayton is saying, where it's like, if you're going to get a comedian in there who's really, really funny and, whose best stuff is, not safe for work, I think you need to move the Oscars to a different platform. Like, HBO Max is hurting for content. Maybe HBO picks it up, because wasn't there like something like a while ago where they were like bidding for the Emmys or something to host the Emmys over on their platform or whatever. I don't know if that's true. I thought I read it somewhere, but something like that where it's like it's like an event, I guess, and something like HBO or I don't know, like YouTube or whatever could host it and do it well, and you could get those like edgier comedians in to really liven up the show. So I think for me right now, yeah, seeing both sides of it now, I would prefer to have a host and have it be a show, because that's ultimately the way that you're going to boost ratings and get people more interested, I think.
And they've asked Dwayne Johnson before, and he couldn't because of scheduling. So it's going to be an inevitability. I think he will host. Yeah, he is that Hugh Jackman kind of multi-talent person. He can sing, he can act, he's funny, he's hugely popular. He is the perfect type of host for a show like this. I would be surprised, and he's now under the umbrella of Disney and Jungle Cruise. which is ABC.
And Moana.
Moana.
And Moana.
Well, yeah, from before, but I mean, he's got at least that coming up. So I think there are things that could work out pretty easily, depending on who the producers end up being, that he would be able to be the host the next year. It's the best decision they could make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke.
Yeah.
Luke.
Yes. Oh, so host or no host? To be honest, the last few years I've not really had that big of an issue with it being hostless. Like, it's not something where I've really longed for like there just to be one person there. But to sort of echo what Griffin was saying, I think, yeah, the first time they did it without a host, it was sort of fresh and new, and yeah, it was kind of like, oh, well, this is a different way of doing it, and it did flow pretty well that night. But yes, the more years that it's gone on, it's sort of made us miss the traditions of what the Oscar nights is supposed to be hosting, and a host is a big part of that. And yeah, Hugh Jackman, absolutely adored. I loved Ellen DeGeneres and Whoopi Goldberg as well. I think it's probably a question of trying to find the right person, because it is one of those jobs where it's not always appealing to everybody, because if you do a great job of it, not everyone cares, and if you screw up, then it goes viral. So
You could also you could also get like a power couple in there, like Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, like something like that would be. John
Legend and Chrissy Teigen. Why not John Legend and Chrissy Teigen? That's a really good couple, because John Legend can sing. Chrissy Teigen does her funny tweet thing.
Yeah.
Joey.
There's a couple of things going on here. So Clayton and I for years would talk about this stuff after every year, and there's a lot going on, because I don't mind not having a host, frankly, but this year I minded just because it didn't work. So when it doesn't work, you notice it. The problem is ratings, but ratings are not the be all end all, because I said this before when we were off air. Like, day one of the NFL draft had higher ratings than the Oscars, but is that seen as a cultural event? No, it's seen as people like idiots like me who care about that stuff. Like, it's not seen as an event we care about. But too often, this is a combination of who produces and just Oscars in general. They don't tell a story well. They need to tell a story with their host and what you want to say, as opposed to, oh, we think Kevin Hart's popular, let's go get Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart would suck. It's not going to work. Like, I'm glad it didn't work out. But
thank God.
You need to know what you want your ceremony to say. So in a year where, like, this year would have been a perfect opportunity to just celebrate like the art of film, the idea of film. We didn't have film for a year. So let's look back on film and then think about how much we loved it. Get Tom Hanks to do that.
It's such a no-brainer.
Yeah, Hollywood's uncle takes you through the year of film.
Right.
Too often they try to do someone who will just go for ratings, and inevitably almost nobody watches the show just for the host, unless it's controversial. Like I guarantee you get O.J. Simpson to host the Oscars, ratings are through the roof. It'll be a good idea,
I'm going to leave now.
Listen, I can give you a list of you want a power couple. You have Obama and Trump co-host the Oscars.
I would not watch.
Exactly. So, no Oscars, no host is fine, but you need to have a show that caters to that. And this year we didn't, because it was I don't know if you heard, it's supposed to be a movie, but would have not gotten nominated. Put it that way.
Amy.
Yeah. So my big thing was last year. There was we're getting a host to announce a host for an award, and they had so many of those where people were just told, right, you're getting to introduce someone else who's introducing an award, and I really did not like that. And I think a host would really fix that problem. I just want someone who's passionate about film. That is my main thing. If you're funny, if you can sing, as long as you're passionate about film, I am there, because it is meant to be a celebration of film, and that's why we are all watching.
I'm just going to say I second the Muppets. Whoever said the Muppets, I'm all in.
Someone said Catherine Hahn, and I said, oh my God, yes.
Hey, also, the person who just said Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill, I think Channing Tatum by himself would be a great host, because he can dance and he can do stuff like that, and he's funny.
And he can sing.
And also, people love Channing Tatum and know who he is. So,
Oscar expert, brother bro.
So, first of all, I have two that I want to petition. I want Eric Andre or Nathan Fielder to host. That's my personal pick. Those are who I want to host. But
It'd be terrible, but you want them.
No, they would be excellent hosts. They got like the writers.
Is that unironic? Are you
completely unironic? For my personal taste, absolutely amazing hosts.
I really want to be a fly in that room right now.
Kind of.
Buzz.
The Oscars
Yeah.
need a host, and I think that they need, unlike what they did this year, they need to focus on bringing in people who aren't interested in movies, or like, you know, give people like a reason to watch other than like, you know, the fans who just love the Oscars. I think that what they would need to do for like a perfect host is choose someone who's a comedian, someone who's going to make people laugh and crack jokes. And I honestly think they need to consider somebody who's perceived as not being entrenched in like the Hollywood sphere. Like, I think people love that Ricky Gervais host and just like blast people. They like the unfiltered thing. Like, I think people also would like to go to a host that they would perceive as being apolitical, because I think a lot of people feel isolated from like Hollywood now. And, you know, if you get like another late night talk show host to host, you're gonna like, you're gonna keep people isolated. Not that I would necessarily be opposed to someone like John Oliver hosting, but like, you know, it's just, I mean, if you want to think about it from like getting the widest audience possible, the perception that Hollywood is like out of touch is keeping a lot of people from watching. So like even like Key and Peele or someone, a duo like that would be like, I think they'd be great.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people would be down with that.
I don't know if every time that host versus no host pops up, I think it's a Grindr notification. What's going on?
It actually is.
I thought so. I'll be right.
It's me messaging you.
You know what's interesting?
My opinion of the host versus no host is like, I honestly just don't care as long as all the awards are shown. I just don't care. I don't know why I just singled out all of me. I don't want to. There you all beautiful people are. It's all about me. No. But I honestly just don't care as long as every single thing is shown, because that's why I kind of like this, besides the order of the end. That's why I like these Oscars, is because I watch the Oscars to see people, to celebrate film. That's what this whole thing is. I just want to like be with all of you celebrating this crazy, ridiculous year we had. And so to see the ceremony and people getting to make speeches for 2-3 minutes, I was into it. Well, if a host digs into that time and then I don't get those speeches or some awards aren't presented, that's when I'm off of the host. Otherwise, I don't care. But I think we also, maybe all of us on this call, also, I apologize to the one person who's not on there. I can only have 10 people on, but I love you, Griffin. It's just like kicked you out. I'm sorry. But I think we also all watch these things like because we love the Oscars. I don't think everyone watching them watches them the way we do. Yeah. And so that's where I think the trouble is. I want to have like 2 more questions because I know it's getting late, but I'm really enjoying this. So here we go. This is a quick question. Add 1 category to the Oscars. I feel like this could be a quicker question. I believe the last to go was Oscar expert. Talk to me. If you could add 1 Oscar category, what would it be?
Want to give a take on this? Do you have one?
I think a lot of the requests that like we've thought a lot about, like, because people will comment like they should have this category, and we've thought about like which ones would make the most sense in terms of, you know, keeping the awards something that's like, you know, sacred. So like if you're the SAG Awards and you give out a SAG Award to everyone who's part of an ensemble, like if you had that at the Oscars, then so many people, so many actors would be winning Oscars. So it'd be a little strange unless you gave that to like the casting director. I think the one that makes the most sense, that's like a branch that the Academy doesn't actually recognize, is stunts. So you could give it to like the stunt coordinator, or I don't know if you would want to integrate that with like stunts or choreography, or if it's just too different. But both those things are like, you know, like branches of filmmaking that actually are just completely not included in like, you know, people who receive awards. Like something like best scene or best ensemble is a little odd, but I think the stunts actually, or choreography actually makes sense. What do you think? You have an opinion?
Yeah. 3 yeses.
3. Are we on American Idol now?
Yeah, I was thinking about other stuff, but then I kept doing what he's doing. Like, no, that would make too many people would be getting awards for like weird categories, like
Right.
And I mean, I don't want to open like the can of worms that is like rewarding genre films, even though I do agree that genre films are underrepresented. Like, I don't want to open that can of worms for the Oscars. That could be maybe like another show, but yeah.
Totally. Amy.
Yeah, so I do like the idea of stunt. I would go with casting. It's something that they've done at the BAFTAs, and whilst it was rocky the first year, they gave Joker the award. They awarded Rocks this year, and I think that was a fantastic choice. That could have been somewhere where you could have seen a One Night in Miami winning, not for the ensemble, but for the casting of each of those roles, and how important that is to making a film.
Valid. Joey.
Yeah, those are the two. Casting, I think, gets my vote just because it is a no glory job, you know, and so many of the performances that sometimes wind up getting nominated are due to that. Like, you know, Paul Raci as a casting director, fine. You know, Darius Mortar didn't go looking. I need to find Paul Raci because he'll be the first to say, like, Paul's output is, you know, working actor output. But that's a casting director going, oh, I've seen them in this or that. Come find, you know. And now suddenly directors will want to work with him. But up until then, that's a casting director going, I know this isn't the name you were looking for, but give this person a shot. So that they certainly deserve their 30 seconds to get up and accept an award. Stunts are fine too. It's just those are the two that don't really change the sort of makeup of what makes an Oscar winner. As much as, you know, the ensemble's great and, you know, voice performance and all that, but it starts to fuck with the Oscars more. So these are the ones that'll get done.
Sure.
It's just a matter of when.
Matthew Elizabeth Neglia, the 13th. I feel like RuPaul right now adding names to like all of his contestants. Continue.
I want to know what 12 of his relatives have that same name and they thought it was a good idea to continue with him.
Yeah.
So stunts and casting are definitely the two that get brought up the most. And, you know, when people ask me, oh, but you can only choose one, sir, I'm like, okay, so if that's the case, I think casting would have a bit of vagueness around it. As Amy mentioned before, it's like you go with Joker the first year, and I'm sure that happened because people thought the casting of Joaquin was just such a brilliant casting move that it carried the film towards that award. Whereas with Rocks, it's rewarding, you know, the casting of the entire ensemble. So, like, I feel like there's too much vagueness there in terms of, like, is it another Best Picture type of an award? Who gets it? I think the casting director should get it, if I'm being honest. I don't think the actors should be getting that award. But then also it's like, what are people using to determine what gets their vote? Where with stunts, it's a little bit more clear. It's a little bit more cut. You know exactly what it is that you're voting for. And not to mention, having a stunt category, I think, would allow for certain films to get Oscar nominations that normally wouldn't, or would increase the haul of other Oscar-nominated films. And it could be a great way to, once again, get some people invested in the show if there's a mainstream blockbuster that happens to be nominated for an Oscar that, you know, has a bunch of fans behind it.
Yeah. Erik.
You're definitely right, Matt. Even if I wouldn't pick stunts as my pick, having that would definitely be the avenue for maybe some fringe Oscar interests people and kind of bring that in there. First, I would split sound back up into two categories because that was bullshit.
Yep. Do that.
That doesn't count as my pick. I think I would go back to something that had been a request a long time ago, and that was Best Voice Performance, because
that's mine.
It kind of never, ever transpired. It never went past the please do this stage, which, you know, way predates Twitter and social media of any kind. I think that would be great. You could include motion capture, possibly, maybe figure out a way to make it a dual category. I wish the original song category was a little looser and not so stringent. Maybe adapted song coming back, something, I don't know, something like that. Original soundtracks. I think a compilation.
I like that.
music category would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of critics groups that do that. The casting is a great idea. It would just be sort of like Matt said too, how you would really define that. Would you sort of define that as like a like the SAG Ensemble, which is a sort of de facto Best Picture? How would you define the average voter? How would the average voter really define casting?
Mm-hmm.
It might be difficult the way that, you know, the sound categories were having that struggle the last couple of years of, well, people don't know the difference between editing and mixing, so fuck it, let's just put them in one because people are dumb, which is, you know, half true.
Audrey.
Yeah. I have 3 thoughts. I'll keep them brief. The first, I really like the idea of a best casting category. I'm biased. I used to work in casting, but I also feel like it's rife with the possibility of category fraud because, you know, if you're thinking about it, like there's no artistry in, you know, having a movie and calling Brad Pitt's agent and, you know, getting him booked for a movie. Like he's an obvious choice for like, and stuff like that, where I feel like people might award that award because they like the actors involved.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see it go to these places where, you know, they're scouting schools for, you know, the right kids, or they've, you know, really, they've done a lot of work. And I think that award would go to casting directors, but I don't know how it works. The second is I do like the idea of a youth Oscar, because that used to be something that they did many years ago. And I like it. I don't know. My third thought's sort of related, but also sort of unrelated. Best original song, I think, should no longer be allowed to involve songs that are over the title credits.
Thank you.
That is my final thought on the matter.
100%.
On every single time I do a predictions video, I absolutely appreciate the artistry and the musicians that work on that post credits or during the credits. Great. To me, a song should be inside of a movie. Maybe there's like the actor, Broadway-ish performer in me that's like, I want a song to be told in the story. I want it to be told not with when the credits are rolling, when everyone's leaving. I want it to be told when the story's happening. So like Husavik.
Justice for Husavik.
Come on! That song is amazing. And no disrespect to literally anything else. I just need to chime in and say I 100% agree with you. No disrespect to any film, any musicians who do the songs post credits or post.
Audrey also just proved why Never Really Sometimes Always should have an Oscar, because that's all casting.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the way to get around that would be to change the voting and to be branch based, just like the nomination. So if you only allowed casting directors to nominate and to vote on the winners, then you would get a winner that was not just who's the most popular actor in this movie.
Yeah, because you can have ones with giant people in them, but you're awarding Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but you're awarding the Manson family people as opposed to Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Griffin.
I mean, I'm gonna sound like a broken record. I mean, best stunt ensemble, I think, is obviously one, but also just in general, best ensemble. I understand sort of the hesitation behind that, and it's like some years you have more ensemble films than others, so it's like, how can you really determine all of that? And I get that, but I just think that, like, I don't know. It's there are some movies like a film like Spotlight, for example, where it's like there's no one performance that really like stands out above the rest. Everyone is just sort of like working together, and the ensemble is what makes the film work. And so, and I feel like this year, like something like Da 5 Bloods definitely has an incredible ensemble. Judas and the Black Messiah, an incredible ensemble. Like there's a lot of films that like, all of the actors working together, the group delivers, incredible work. And so I feel like something like that should be recognized, especially because, like, I mean, like SAG recognizes that. So I don't know. I feel like that's probably one that we're probably close to getting if we're going to get like more categories in the future. It's like that and stunts, I feel like, are the two that are sort of on the cusp there. But also, I also agree on vocal performance, because voice actors, they never get the love, respect, and appreciation they deserve. And I understand, like, opening up, best vocal performance for like actors and actresses. There's a lot of films that come out that you have to consider. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's worth giving those incredible performers their dues. So
I 100% agree. Robin Williams should have an Oscar. That should have been the first.
Yeah.
If after that they should have said, "Oh, we should maybe add that category because he should have an Oscar for Genie."
Part of the problem of having these like sort of subcategories, though, is that it gives the voters a reason to never have to put it in a top category, whether it's Best Picture or Best Actor. If you have these even though I just said it, if you have a voice performance, it means I don't ever actually have to put this person in Best Actor. And same with, documentary and animated feature, which is now, has an almost impossible time breaking into the top category. And it's because these other categories exist as a place to put them.
Right.
I think that's a great point. But I almost wonder, it's like, would we ever see, and obviously, I mean, I don't think it can happen, but like, what does it take to get someone who gives like an incredible vocal performance nominated for Best Actor or Best Actress? Like it's just like one of those things that's like, that should be recognized. Like people should be, voting for actors who give those sort of performances just like they do everyone else. And it should be recognized in Best Actor or Actress categories. But it's just like, I think because people already look like down upon it in a weird sort of way, it's just like, it would be impossible for that to even happen.
Yeah, I think the actors would actually be really against it as a category.
Daniel, very high IQ.
So
I'm so funny.
I agree on Best Vocal Performance. I would agree that like after Robin Williams essentially revolutionized voice casting in general, and like vocal performance, because essentially that character was animated around his vocal performance. If people don't know, like literally animated around his voice work. So that is the type of performance that should get nominated. Also, like, I think maybe a Best Breakthrough Performance, because I think like, like BAFTA has Rising Star. That would be a lot like BAFTA's Rising Star Award. And if you want to make Best Breakthrough Performance an Audience Participation Award, if you want to give the Oscars an Audience Participation Award, that's a perfect one to do, in my opinion.
If you want to give people a reason to watch, give them a reason to watch.
Because at least this year, I think Alan Kim would have probably won that by fan vote of people who were watching. Or it could have been Sidney Flanigan. I mean, I know in the smaller movies this year, but say in a movie like, say what you will about her, but like 2018, Black Panther, Letitia Wright, she could have gotten it. And that would have gotten more voters in there.
Jackson makes a good point that voice casting might be just another Pixar win every year.
Yep.
Although, even though my favorite studio on the planet is Pixar, I can't pronounce her name, but the girl in Wolfwalkers, not the lead, what's her name? It's not
Eva Whittaker.
Thank you.
Eva Whittaker.
I would have given her the award this year. Even though I prefer Soul, she gave the best voice performance for me.
I'm changing my answer because Eric said if you want to get ratings, get ratings. Best bit of hardcore nudity.
Is there a way does anyone know if there's a way to kick Joey out?
Ratings of the Oscars.
Joey, you've lost your privileges of
only if they show clips, though. Only if they show clips.
Oh, okay. Wow. I am going to ask someone else. Luke, please get us together.
I'll keep it short and sweet, mate. I agree with the consensus. Casting and stunt seems like the most obvious, but I would just love to see mocap performances given the same sort of treatment. Like if
the Andy Serkis Award.
Andy Serkis for Andy Serkis.
Yeah,
true story.
Zoe Saldana in Avatar, phenomenal, great, amazing performance. Yeah, it's just it doesn't get the same respect as say, in the flesh performances. So I think everyone's pretty much said what we need to say, like casting, stunts, and just more appreciation for like the subgenres of like mocap and voice work, and there's so much to honor really.
Eric, this is for you.
Was that what I thought it was? Yeah.
No, best for animal performance.
Evie, yay! I would absolutely approve of that best animal performance.
And then this year you could do Doug the Pug for the Mitchells versus the Machines.
David, And then we have one more question. David, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think most of the bases have sort of been touched, but I'm a big fan of actually including Best Child Actor at the Oscars. I just think it would be a way of recognizing upcoming talent. I think it would be really interesting for us Oscars pundits to see these young performers get awarded an Oscar and then follow their careers. For example, Ryder Allen in Palmer on Apple TV. I thought Ryder Allen's performance in Palmer was one of the best I've seen this year. I thought he was outstanding. And Alan Kim, seeing him at Critics' Choice give that award speech and then seeing him on the red carpet as well. I just think it would be a really interesting category. I think it might bring in younger viewers as well. So yeah, for me, child actor, I think that's an interesting angle to come at it from. But everyone's made some really good points there.
All right, my friends, I have one final question. I had a bunch, but this one, everyone had really great stuff to say. Something that I have wrestled back and forth with people saying is, I'm pulling it up right now. Hold on. Everyone stand by. Where did I put it? Hold on. Oh, here it is. Someone asked me this, and I thought, what? And I have a very, very, very... I don't get the opinion of no, they didn't, or no, it has an asterisk next to it. So I'll save my voice for last, but I'm very curious because I think I want to hear what you all say. Let's start with David. I know you just talked, but if you can, and this is going to be our last question for everyone who's watching. Feel free to say whether or not you thought they mattered or what have you, and then we'll sign off. But everyone, thank you for joining. Continue. David, all you.
Absolutely, they mattered this year, and you could argue they mattered this year more than other years. A year where the whole world has been impacted by this horrific global pandemic. To have an event like the Oscars, which has kept us excited, certainly us on Film Twitter, us Oscars pundits, focused towards that date, was going to be February, pushed back 2 months to April. But absolutely, because people this year, over the last 12 months or longer, this award season, have created incredible pieces of work. There's been great direction, there's been great cinematography, there's been great soundtracks, there's been great performances. And to say or to suggest that just because there's been a global pandemic, we should forget the Oscars, in my opinion, is disrespectful to all the tremendous work that's been put on display this year. And for us film geeks, I think it's kept us going. I think it's kept us motivated, and I think for a lot of people, it's kept them engaged with film. And let's not forget that film impacts people heavily, and people love going to the cinema. And in a year where we haven't been able to go to the cinema, people have still been able to enjoy films on Netflix. Netflix was a nomination juggernaut. Amazon Prime as well. So yeah, absolutely, the Oscars 100% mattered, maybe more so than ever.
Audrey.
Well, I guess I'm gonna answer a question with a question. Do the Oscars ever actually matter?
Oh shit.
Yes, they do. They matter to the people that care about them, and to that, they mattered this year. To people who never cared about the Oscars, and whatever. But I mean, insofar that they serve as an opportunity for people to have that career boost, people who work in production and, having that Oscar winner or Oscar nominee next to their name that helps them do other interesting projects.
Totally.
Of course it matters. Having it this year, it helps all of those people. I think it provides a sense of continuity and, normality, that everything is not completely catastrophic. I mean, it is, but we still have this one thing that, we've never canceled. Like, it's always been there since it started. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a silly awards show. It provides people entertainment, and I think the run up to it, at least, I think it helped focus the film community that was probably not watching as many films as they might otherwise have, except for, of course, the hardcore people who are watching everything on streaming. So yeah, in as much as the Oscars has ever mattered, it mattered.
Sure. Oscar expert, brother bro.
I think the Oscars matter like for the movie industry, and if you think the movie industry matters, which I would say that it does, then they do matter. Like, I think it matters that certain milestones like Ye Jung-yoon winning, like that really matters because Asian people have been like really neglected from like being in awardsy movies. And even every year I think if an indie like Nomadland wins, or like some small movie like Sound of Metal gets a lot of attention, I think it matters in terms of like studios saying, hey, look, we can package like a little indie film as like an awards contender, and that gives a movie more attention.
Right.
A movie like Parasite winning is like, hey, maybe like a studio can pick up like the new Oscar Ferrati movie this year and say that's like, this is a major contender. So it matters for those reasons. You know what you say?
I have a little bit to say. I mean, I think it also is just a way for some people to wrap the year up and recommend. It's basically a film recommendation. A lot of people take it seriously. I mean, I don't know how many people you can convince to take these recommendations seriously, but for the most part, like I love these nominees, so I'm glad that they are what is being recommended at the end of the year. I mean, I think a lot of people take it that way, and it sort of legitimizes like a reason to watch these films. Like I'm sure many more people stream them or see them because of the Oscars. So yeah, in that way, they're definitely important.
Good points. Matthew, Elizabeth Nicole, Queen Elizabeth, Frances McDormand, the 18th.
Yeah, my lighting is starting to look like Carey Mulligan's was at the
It's
Oscars
starting to look
right
like
now.
mine, which is just atrocious. Continue.
Yeah. So this is a very, very deep question that I will definitely not do a good job of bringing justice to with my reply here.
This is why I saved it for last.
Yeah, do the Oscars matter? Short answer, I think so. Do the Oscars matter if I'm trying to look at it from a standpoint of the country, the world, people at large, even outside of the movie industry? I think right now that's a very difficult thing to answer. I think that there are a lot of people right now who have a perception of Hollywood and a perception of the Oscars and are very anti-Hollywood because of the politics in our country right now and what they see everything is politicized nowadays. Masks, vaccinations, the Oscars, and that's a shame. But what's really interesting to me is that I don't think that art itself has become politicized. Television shows, movies, paintings, dance, whatever it might be, music. I think that there will always be an audience for art in general. And I think that if you start approaching it as a way to celebrate art, not necessarily, and I have no problem with people getting up there and giving a political speech. But if the producers wanted to say, hey, listen, like, I think there was even directive this year about like, tell a story with your speech, you know what I mean? Or whatever it might be. That can help. But at the same time, having this platform, being able to speak to these issues, I'm sorry, but if you got a problem with that, you could fuck the hell right off as far as I'm concerned. Sorry. But like, at the same time, that is just what this industry is starting to become. It used to be a way to reward the big studio films as a business decision to help drive the business of the industry. What it has become now is it's become a celebration of quality work and giving a platform to people who previously, for the last 90-something years, did not have that platform beforehand. And that is a good thing. When we have diversity, when we have multitudes of different voices out there that are contributing to art, it makes the world a better place. So to sit here and tell me that the Oscars don't matter because they're politicizing it all too much and giving these speeches where they pat each other on the back and everything, sorry, like I said before, you can fuck right off. And I'm sorry for cursing so much on this stream like this, but I get very, very upset about this sort of thing because I care very, very deeply about the human race, our willingness for to have empathy for one another. And I think you get that through a collective shared experience, which we can all come together on when it comes to, in this case, movies, but just art in general. So yes, they absolutely matter.
I am reminded of in Captain America when they say, you write that down first? That was beautiful. Well said. Joseph Magidson.
I like how you paused to see if you knew my middle name and you didn't.
I was trying to think of something clever, but I'm also.
Oh, my parents didn't think of anything clever, so I should do. No, so here's the thing. Do the Oscars matter to me? I own and operate a website dedicated to them, so I'm going to go with yes.
Totally.
The general public leans toward no. Did they matter this year? The honest answer is probably not, just because you can see in who watched and who didn't. The majority of humanity opted to take a pass. And some of that is that just the nature of the year. But, there's a bigger issue at hand because, they don't a lot of people claim we didn't see the movies. And, the flip side of that is there has never been a Oscar slate that was more widely available to be seen from the comfort of your own home. You did not have to wear pants to see every movie nominated this year. That is not normally the case. So you made the active choice not to watch them. And now, is that advertising? You didn't have a movie trailer in a movie theater tell you to go see Mank, so it didn't seem epic and important. Or, you just left to your own devices, watch HGTV a lot more. That, humanity does their own thing. And they're never going to be, the Super Bowl. Because the Super Bowl, there is one team that you can objectively say has won the Super Bowl. Anytime we don't like the results of the Oscars, we can quantify it with some stat about why it was an anomaly or why it won despite being, maybe not as well liked, the preferential ballot and all that. So does it matter? Yeah, it matters to people, matters too. And that's fine. You just want to avoid a year like this where you get the sense that the majority of people have shrugged it off. You didn't get that sense with Spotlight winning, and that was a way smaller film than The Revenant or The Big Short. But you still like, okay, cinema has gone on. Nomadland certainly carries on that tradition, but you don't have that general feeling throughout the industry that, because at the end of the day, the list of things that won on that pillar when you go to the theater, it's going to look just fine. But you kind of just, the year doesn't feel like it looks that fine. So I understand why people don't think it matters. It does. It just maybe takes a year off from being a pop culture thing in the way that it usually is.
Daniel.
I do think the Oscars matter, and to add on to what Matt said, especially in a year where you have the first time ever that 2 women have been nominated for Best Director, the first time ever that a woman of color has won Best Director, the first Asian woman to win Supporting Actress in 64 years, the first Asian man to get nominated for Best Actor, the first Muslim man to get nominated for Best Actor, 2 women nominated in Best Actress for the first time since 1972. But 2 black women. I'm not sure if I said black women. I might have forgotten that part. And like multiple categories that were majority minority, like Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor, which is like, if you think about the history of the Oscars, that's insane. That it's like very rare to have that, and like to have a director category where there's only 1 white American male in it is also rare. So yes, the Oscars do matter. They matter because more than ever, they establish that the film industry, they establish, at least, I think they're trying to establish with the way that Cheryl Boone Isaacs started the initiative in the mid-2010s of showcasing the diversity of modern filmmaking, which it's still a work in progress. I mean, we still, again, haven't had 2 people of color win Best Actor and Best Actress in the same year besides Denzel and Halle Berry. And that's something that, honestly, like, if you could say it's insane that it's only happened once. And just the equitability of this year in general, which I'm not sure we will get an Oscars this equitable to women and people of color in a while because of the return of big studios. But I hope that, like, as we see, big studios are actually making diversity pushes in their hiring choices, at least for franchise films, which that's a whole other conversation. But I think this Oscars does matter because people will look back and see a name like Chloe Zhao or a name like Emerald Fennell or a name like Yoon Ye-jung and remember the history that was made, at least if you care. Again, it's all objective. It's all subjective is what I meant to say. It's all subjective to you and to 9 or so million people, it matters, at least this year.
Griffin.
Just really quick before Griffin goes, I just want to say really
Yeah.
quick. There was someone in the comments that said that the Oscar winners serve as almost like a way that if you're a new film lover, a way to kind of look back on what films were recognized, nominated, and kind of use that as almost like a library to choose films from to watch. And I just really like that comment, whoever said it. And I just wanted to just shout that out there because I know for myself, and I'm sure many other people here, we've all done that at some point.
Right.
That was actually exactly where I was going to go.
Sorry,
I think it
Griffin.
matters. No. That's totally fine. Because I think everyone has really just summed it up in words far better than my own, so I'll really keep it short. But like, I think it serves as a great time capsule for the respective years, the respective decades. It's important for film history because I mean, when people start branching outside of tentpole blockbuster filmmaking, which is I mean, basically how anyone gets into film in the first place, unless, I don't know, I'm sure there's exceptions, but most people get in through blockbuster movies. And then from there, it's like, okay, the prestige films that were nominated or were recognized at the Academy Awards, that's sort of where you turn to next. And then from there, you kind of spiral down this rabbit hole. So I think it is a valuable thing to have. But like, look, here's the thing. I mean, it's a personal sort of thing. Like, if it doesn't matter to you, so be it, whatever. But then if it does matter to you, celebrate that and be happy about it, and recognize it for what it is. Ultimately, it just comes down to film lovers enjoying seeing like the best films of the year, or this group of incredible cinema just honored on a big stage like that, and representation. And I think that's important.
Luke.
Do the Oscars matter? Well, they matter to me anyways. Otherwise, what I've been doing in my life for like the last 6 months, making Oscars content, for no reason at all. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's an award show. It's, to some people it's trivial, but the Oscars are a celebration of cinema, and cinema is an escape, and oh my god, something that we've so needed now more than ever this past year. But it provides meaningful wish fulfillment. Films inspire. Films is just storytelling. As a species, we rely on storytelling. It's a part of our culture. And maybe the Oscars don't always get it right, but sometimes when they do, oh god, it's just so juicy. Like Parasite winning, just such a landmark achievement, celebrating, being so inclusive to all different types of cinema, world cinema. Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse winning Best Animated Film previous year. Yes, that's going to be a film that inspires so many other young animators out there who want to like create movies and like saw that film and it's an Oscar-winning film. And it's just, they don't matter to everybody, but they matter to people like everyone here that's tuned in to watch, like we make podcasts about it. We make YouTube channels about it. They matter to people. They don't matter to everybody. But to us, the 10 million so people that did tune in, they do matter. And I know they matter to me. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day, is whether you as an individual think they matter.
Amy.
Telling us that the Oscars don't matter is like telling an American football fan the Super Bowl doesn't matter. Like, it's my one day of the year that I stay up till 5 a.m. to watch because I'm in the UK. I care about the Oscars. And yet, I also feel like people need to look at the Oscars individually and not realize that people don't need them. People are saying Chadwick Boseman needs to have an Oscar for his tribute. No, he doesn't need to have an Oscar. He's already an incredible actor. We already recognize that. An Oscar would have been nice, but his legacy isn't suddenly gone because he doesn't have one. So I think we need to find a balance of saying we care about the Oscars, but it doesn't mean we need to give somebody an Oscar to make them feel truly worthy in the film community.
Well said. Erik, close us out.
Oh my god.
No pressure.
So the actual question is, did the Oscars matter this year?
But if you want to go deeper, you can. If you want to,
this is such a can of worms, and it's a great one. Short answer: yes. To paraphrase the player, the Oscars more than ever. I echo David. I think they mattered more this year than any in quite a few years. because what it really did was highlight that it took a fucking pandemic to get the kind of nominees and winners that the Oscars don't generally reward, recognize, or care about. Nomadland is sort of like the sneaky movie that gets in, the movie that topples the La La Land. It's not the one that goes in front runner and stays there and wins. So almost every person that won and almost every film that won really highlighted that it took a world and life-changing event for voters to see things that they don't normally see. So it makes me very worried about upcoming Oscars. In terms of, do the Oscars matter overall? Yes, 1,000%. And it's less for me, you know, like Joey, I run a site, and Matt does as well, that is sort of dependent on them existing. But I don't look at it for my own personal preference really anymore, even though I've had 3 Best Picture winners that were my favorites of the year, which it never happened in my lifetime. But in a post-Brokeback world, it showed me how things win, why things lose, when they decide to make big statements and put certain social issues on a stage and others not. When I think about the Moonlight Year and think about Jaden Piner and Alex Hibbert on that stage and what that meant to them, I think about Adela Romansky's speech about people seeing little Black and brown boys and girls able to see something they haven't seen before, or an ability that they might want to go for but feel like they don't have an avenue or a voice to it. That's why they're important. That's why it's not just about movies, and it's not just about awards. It's not trivial. It's very real. It's very real as who gets jobs and who thinks that they can be an actor or a director or a female cinematographer. I loved Viola Davis's Emmy speech when she said, "You cannot win an Emmy if the roles are not there."
Yep.
The visibility of wins that are non-traditional wins opens the door for the money-holding executives that fear, this won't bring in box office, or this won't bring in an audience, or even an award. You have to really shake them to make them see it and make them realize it. And that's happened quite a bit in the last few years. I think that the preferential ballot is one of the best things to happen to diverse lineups and Best Picture winners. At first, I was super against it. Now I'm not at all, really, because I think we would have, just gotten populist hit over and over again, and that wouldn't have changed things. And we do also know for a fact now that in the next or coming up Oscars, not this one, but 96 or 95th, that there are new rules being instated as to how you can get a Best Picture nomination.
Yep.
You have to hit a whole lot of these little bits and pieces. And while awards are not really they're the topical, they're not the underneath way to fix things, it is at least one group that is doing something about it to try and alter that. BAFTA also did that in an extreme way. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant and fantastic and long time coming. And I don't know if it's a permanent thing or they might switch back, but sometimes you do have to not really shame people, but sometimes you do have to shame people in showing them what's possible, what's doable, what's real. And we definitely saw that this year. I think this year mattered more than any in a very long time.
I couldn't agree more. We ran way later than I wanted to, but I'm very grateful for all of you joining me. I thank you so much. This was like it felt like a good way to just like kind of happily close it. This long ass year, we did it. It's over. And now we can go back to predicting next year's Oscars already. Y'all, seriously, thank you so much. Daniel, thank you. Joey, I love you. Erik, you're amazing. Thank you. Audrey, also your bookshelf is my favorite activity. Matthew Elizabeth the 13th Jr., even though I can barely see you, you're the best. Luke, you're amazing. Oh, and you also won. Also, David and Luke and whoever else is literally 2 o'clock in the morning right now or something for you. I love you. Thank you for joining. David, you're amazing. Griffin, thank you so much for joining. You are awesome. Amy, thank you so much for joining. Oh, gosh, Oscar expert and brother. Oh, gosh, come on. Come here. Come here. Where are you? Hold on. There you are. Oh, thank you so much for joining. It was a pleasure to have all of you here. And
Max, I think we can say on behalf of all of us, thank you so much for organizing this, getting us all together.
Yeah, what up, Max?
This was an absolute treat.
Max,
so
in the words, in the wonderful Yiddish words, you are a mensch.
Bless you all. Oh my God. Look it's all your names. Look at that. Seriously, y'all rock. Everyone who joined, thank you so much for joining. Follow everyone here on their social. It's in the comments. Everyone's on Twitter. Everyone's on every single platform. They're all brilliant, brilliant film people who just love cinema. They just love this art. And that's why they are here today. And I'm very grateful to all of you. That's all I have. Thank you so much for watching. Shalom, my friends. And now I do the awkward thing where I press